Hey everybody, Lawman Mike with www.lawmanguitars.com. Trying to play some sweet jazz on this guitar because what I have in front of you is a 1974 Gibson Howard Roberts custom guitar. What a sweet jazz guitar I have in my hands. Now the Howard Roberts model, as opposed to the newer ones, there's some Howard Roberts now that don't look like these that they're redoing. But the original ones had the round hole, the single pickup. And of course, we can see the Howard Roberts tailpiece on here, which is very distinctive because it has Howard Roberts right on it. They use these tailpieces on several of the logo artist models and just put different names on them, but this one is the Howard Roberts. Now, they started these guitars with Epiphone. Epiphone was the first Howard Roberts guitars, and then Gibson started making some with a few different appointments, some different fret markers and things like that. But there's two different Howard Roberts models that they made between 1973 and 1981. There was a Howard Roberts Custom, which is what this one is, and the Howard Roberts Artist. Now the difference between them was the Custom had the chrome hardware and a Rosewood board. The Artist had gold hardware and an Ebony board. So the two distinctions that they had. Now again, they made them from 1973 to 1981. This being a 1974 was one of the first ones that they made. Now I'll tell you, who is Howard Roberts? Now, Howard Roberts is not as well known in the jazz field as possibly Johnny Smith, but he was some session player. He played a lot of jazz guitar, and he's just an outstanding musician, and he lived well into his 80s. A friend of mine had seen him in concert, as a matter of fact, and said he just was a marvelous guitar player. But besides being a studio musician, he also did things like he did the Munsters logo. If you remember that was Howard Roberts. And he also did the Twilight Zone theme. Very, very cool. And so he did a lot of work with television. So he is very well known in the industry, and Gibson was kind enough to say, hey, we want to make a model for you. What would you like? And he designed this very, very unusual guitar with the round sound hole. Now, it's got these very fancy fret markers in here. It's got the big fancy Gibson headstock on it. It's got these beautiful Gibson with the keystone tulip ends on there. It's got a nice big heavy volute in there as well, but it's in absolutely beautiful shape. It's got finish crazing, of course. The back of this maple is just beautiful. Again, some nice finish crazing. It's got a nice wide jazz style body as opposed to being a thin line, and it's just absolutely in marvelous shape. There's one little I wasn't sure if this was a crack or a scratch. I think in my description I called it a scratch. It doesn't go all the way through or all the way on the other end, so I don't believe that's a crack, but wanted to point that out. You'll see that in the description on the ad. But it's got still the original pick guard. These sometimes will gas, which means if it's in an enclosed case, it throws off fumes, which will make your chrome parts start to deteriorate. You can see just a little bit of it right in here. I cleaned that up, but the pickguard is still in marvelous, marvelous shape. And the three knobs are volume, bass, and treble. I can't hear a whole lot of difference between those settings on this particular guitar, but you know, you're going to set it on your amp anyway. You know, it's only got the one pickup, but what a beautiful, beautiful guitar. It plays great. I put flatties on it. You know, I haven't played flat wound since I was a kid, but this jazz guitar just said to me, put flat wounds on me, Mike, and I had to go find a set of flat wounds. We just don't have them around. But I put some on here, and it's like home. I just like I said, I played a lot of jazz guitar back in my youth. I had an instructor that taught me jazz guitar, and we always had flat wounds on our guitars. Now, this guitar has a 25-inch scale neck, so it's going to feel very similar to just about any guitar that you would play, especially a jazz-style guitar. But it just, gosh, it just plays marvelous. know, it's not just a jazz guitar. This guitar will rock it. Wow. I love this guitar. Absolutely love it. I'm sure whoever gets it is going to love it as well. And I'm happy to tell you, I've got the original case. This thing weighs a ton. Great big old, I'm pretty sure it's a Lifton case. Back in the 70s, should have still been Lifton at that time, although there's nothing in it to indicate that. It is the Gibson case. It's beat. I mean, that thing has been doing its job over the years. It's still got the latches, though. The latch is still here. Hinges are still on it. There's one latch that has one end that's come loose, but it still latches, so I want to point that out. Original handle, which is very important in these guitars, and this latch still has latch to it. So you open it up and you go, holy moly, you can tell that's a 70s Gibson case. It's got the beautiful, beautiful burgundy plush interior, still has the accessory box. I mean, the interior is just as nice as the guitar. I mean, you can just tell whoever had this guitar played it. I mean, it certainly shows player wear and a lot of it. But the inside of the case is beautiful. So obviously the guitar was kept in the case. No water damage or anything. It hadn't been sitting in a damp basement or anything. It's in beautiful shape from the inside. The outside, you know what? It looks like a guitar case that's been around. You know what? You show up with this guitar case, people are going to go, what's in that case? So anyway, it's a beautiful case. Beautiful guitar. If you're looking for a cool jazz guitar, I'll tell you what, that 1974 guitar is definitely one you should consider. I mean, it was remade in Japan. There was a lot of them made. Greco had one, Ventura had one. I think all of them had a reissue in the 70s because it was a very popular model, and I've had lots of them. This is the first Gibson I've had. I've had lots of the reissues of the Japan ones. So anyway, check it out. It's a beautiful guitar. I can't recommend it high enough. Whoever gets it's going to absolutely love it. So check it and all of our cool guitars out, though, at www.lawmanguitars.com. And we'd sure appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button while you're here on YouTube, and you will see cool guitars every single week. So I appreciate you watching my demo. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you all so very much. Thank you.